In this first video showing the power of Worksoft and Data Sync Manager, we're going to look at what happens when you try to create a testing script and discover that the data doesn't quite meet your requirements. So I'm here in my test system and I've got a process that's configured for creating a sales order in Worksoft Certify, and I'm going to come through and say I want to run this process. It will give me a nice pop-up for the execution engine, and if I click run, it'll now take my SAP session, go into the create sales order transaction, start entering the parameters, and then add the material. And what we'll see before it can save is the error at the bottom telling us that the material is not set up in the sales org that this order is for. So my certify process is going to capture that and actually tell me in its results viewer that that wasn't the expected outcome, so that last part of the test has failed. And we can see that here now. So if I expand the results viewer, we can see it's not been able to continue for the availability to promise, and also it's not picked up the sales order number that we might have wanted for the next steps. So I'm going to close the results viewer. Now I'm going to go into what would be our production system. So I'm suspecting that my data is not quite up to date in the test system. So I'm going to go into production and run the transaction code for Object Sync, which is one of the DSM engines that allows you to bring data on demand. So in this case, I'm going to navigate through the SAP menu and find the material master and then enter the parameters. So we could have lots of materials that we think might be out of date, or we could just pick up this particular one. We've got options within the data group, and obviously we know the sales area is important. And if there's other data that might be necessary, so classifications, characteristics, it will pick those up as well. And I'm going to say that this should replace the data in my test system. If I go into the preview, we can see my material. If I click on the enterprise keys, we can see that sales org is there on production, so that bodes well. We could scramble data if there was sensitive data, but looking at what's been picked up, there's characteristics, there's a product from CRM if I wanted to update CRM at the same time, classifications. I don't think any of that would be relevant really for scrambling in this system. So I'm going to go straight to the execution options. We're sending directly via an RFC sync, and we're going to use a background process to do this. It makes me log on to make sure that I have access to the target system. It had already checked my SAP standard permissions during that preview. It will only show me data in the preview that I have permission for. We can see that's run and has copied. So I'm going to close production and go back to my test system and just come out of my failed order attempt and then go back to my test script in Certify, and we'll try again now. Say run, sets up an execution engine pop-up for us. We'll kick this off. So again, it will take control of my screen. It's going into the VA01 transaction, entering the order type, putting in the details from the test automation, pops the material in. This time we get the availability to promise, and at the bottom we can see the new sales order number has been created. So we can see in our results viewer, we've now got all our tests have passed because it did see the availability to promise process and then the new order number appear at the bottom. So just a very quick example. We will be showing more information coming up around how you can actually automate the integration. So we obviously did this manually, as you might do in setting up scripts for the first time, validating what it is you want to test, but there are ways that we can actually automate the integration between the two products.